In this episode, we look at rivers. At the end of this week's lesson, you will be able to define the following concept: river, channel, source, bank, tributary, estuary, delta, mouth, and bed. Name and describe parts of a river. Name the main river in each continent. Name the ocean in which most of the river flow, and complete at least 4 of the 8 activities at the learning centers. Somerset Falls, which is located in Portland, was recently affected by climate change as the drought conditions on the island caused the riverbed to dry up, resulting in no action at the falls. Can you imagine people walking along the dry riverbed? In December, when rain began falling, the river was once again flowing from the source to the falls and into the river. The continents have many rivers except for Antarctica. They are larger than the rivers in Jamaica since they flow along many kilometers of the continents. Unlike Somerset Falls, these rivers will never dry for a long time because they have many tributaries flowing into them to form large rivers, the longest measuring 6,300 kilometers in length. Engage. Get into groups and use an atlas to locate the largest river on each continent. First, you need to use the key or legend to identify the symbols for rivers. Explore. Access the internet and download videos on the Let's go with this again. Access the internet and download videos on the largest river in each continent. I would use the word longest here. All right. Explain. A river is a fresh flowing body of water that begins at its source, which is generally in the mountains. It flows along a bank to its mouth, where it eventually empties into the sea, lake, or ocean. Okay, so that's the vocabulary now. We have source. This is where the river begins, right? Some people say riverhead, and that's where it starts. Channel, the route taken by the river. Banks, the sides along the channel. Bed, the bottom of the channel. Mouth, the area where the river empties into the ocean, sea, or lake. And we have tributary, a small stream or river that flows into a larger river. As the river flows down the mountains, it gets more water from streams, tributaries, springs, and rivers. All right, so use an atlas or globe to complete table 1. So here we have table 1. We have major, and we have columns, and we have rows. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 columns. So column 1, we have the title, major river, continent, and length in kilometers. So let's go. We have the Nile. What continent is that on? And what's the length? This says it's 6,695 kilometers long. Now, South America, what's the major river there and what's the length? Then we have the Yangtze. Where is that found? And that's 6,380 kilometers long. North America, what's the longest river there? And this should be 6,275 kilometers long. The Murray-Darling is a river. What continent can it be found on, and what's the length? Now, what river would we find on the continent of Europe, the longest river, right? And it should be about 6,688 kilometers long. Then we have the Onyx, and this is Antarctica, and how long should that be? All right. Now, this is interesting because I'm almost certain they said here except for Antarctica. All right, so do that and find out if this is so. Extend. Use a map or globe to identify the ocean into which the major rivers flow from each continent. Evaluate. Complete at least 4 of the 8 activities at the learning centers. WordLink, Faye Ellington Center. Create a brochure on the major rivers on each continent and include the significance of each river. And we know that rivers are important because they provide us with water. Water is used for domestic purposes, industrial purposes, for irrigation, farming, and so on. All right. Self-link, Dr. Agri Irons Center. Make a journal entry expressing your appreciation for rivers. Okay, so places like Africa, the Nile, people would actually worship the river because during the flood season it would bring the sediments necessary to create that nice fertile area of the Nile that after the floods go, it gives this nice rich soil that allows farmers there to make a lot of growing area for crops which they can then sell. All right. Music link, write lyrics to the concept river. Body link, make a model of a river. Now here's the method. So you're going to shape some Play-Doh. Play-Doh, there's another name for it, plasticine. All right, so shape Play-Doh or plasticine in the channel of a river. Place some stones along the bed. Now remember what the bed is. Okay, the bottom. Place sand on both sides of the river. Fill a bottle with water and place at one end of the river that was made and allow the water to flow along the river bed. Okay, number link. Use the information from table 1 to create a bar graph. Okay, so this table 1, then we could show the length of the river and use that for the various bars. Okay, so that would mean that 6,695 so far. This would be the highest bar, and then 6,275 would be the lowest bar so far. So as you fill in the rest of the information, then you'd be able to complete the number link. Social link, Mercy Center. Send an email to your parents informing them of the major river on each continent. Nature link, Dan Macaulay Center. Find out the name of the organization that deals with the pollution of rivers. Interestingly, we had a situation here recently where there was a overflow from a bauxite company, and it went into the river and it caused a fish kill. Some of the residents of the area also went into the water to bathe as usual, and they would have gotten rashes because of the chemicals that were from this overflow. All right, so that's something that you could research as well. So the river, I think it's the Rio Cobre in St. Catherine. You can look at that. You can research that as well. Picture link. And this is the Edna Manley Center. It says, hold on, let's go back. It says here, identify the continent. Let's see if we can get this. Identify the continent on which each major river, let me say that again. So we're going to identify the continent on which each of the major rivers is located, then write the name of the longest river for each continent. So let's go with this now. So we have North America, South America, we have Africa, we have Europe, this section, then we have Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. Okay. Just a little extension here. We know where, because this is a map, it's the flattened version of a globe, right? So we're going to have the Pacific on this side, Pacific on this side. We're going to have the Atlantic between here. We're going to have the Indian Ocean here. The Southern Ocean will come just above this landmass here. And then we have the Arctic Ocean here. All right, so that would complete our continents and oceans. All right, guys. So in this episode, what were we doing? In this episode, we were looking at rivers, and we want to remember what they are. Remember some of the key words associated with rivers. You know, the bank, the mouth, the source, the bed, tributaries, and so on. And have an appreciation for rivers. They are important. We need to take care of them. Make sure they're not polluted. All right, guys, remember, complete the activities on your own and turn them into your teachers. Take care. See you in the next episode.